New running gadget, a Garmin Forerunner 245. We'll be right back to talk about it. Hi, I'm Ralph and welcome to Age's Runner. Before we get into the Garmin 245, if you're a runner but not yet a subscriber, please consider subscribing to my channel by clicking that subscribe icon down in the corner anytime during this video. Thank you so much. So my latest toy is this Garmin Forerunner 245. It's part of the Forerunner series of Garmin, which are watches for runners. Really easy marketing there, huh? So before we talk about the 245, you might ask, why a running watch? Why get any running watch? And I think there are a couple of reasons you might want to consider a running watch. One is accuracy of tracking your distance that you're running. I did a test recently, and I'll cue up that video here, that you can see how I tested my Garmin Forerunner against my Garmin InReach Mini and against my smartwatch and my smartphone. And I found that the two satellite trackers, which use two different satellite networks, gave essentially the same result compared to my smartwatch and my smartphone. They gave less distance, about 0.2 of a mile over 5 miles. So you get a little better tracking of your distance, I think, with a satellite tracker than, say, a watch or a phone. Now, with that said, since it is a satellite tracker, it'll work in more remote regions. So if you're out doing a trail run, you have no cell phone coverage, you're going to be able to still track your run and get your distance with a satellite tracking watch. Now, the other reason to consider a running watch is data and information. I'm a little bit of a data junkie. I have a technical background in my work life, so I'm very data driven in a lot of what I did. And so I like to see the data. You get a lot more information about your run, VO2 max, heart rates throughout your run, pace, cadence, elevation, all kinds of data, movement time, rest time, just a plethora of data you can get with a running watch. So if you want more data, it's another reason to consider a running watch. And one thing I like about at least the Forerunner 245 is while I'm running, I can look at my watch and I always have that data visible. I don't have to do anything to the watch to have the data just show up during my run. So I get data at a glance. So I like that feature also. There's actually two versions to the 245, one with music, one without. So the music version, you can actually store songs and music on the watch and play directly from the watch. I do not have that. I have the one without music, and that was not important to me. The one with music is about $50 more. It wasn't worth $50 to me to put music on my watch. When I do want to listen to music, I just stream it through Bluetooth from my phone to my earbuds. So let's talk a few specs. It's a pretty lightweight watch. It's about 1.4 ounces, which is roughly 38 grams. Yeah, 38.5 grams. So it's a fairly lightweight watch. You won't notice it on your wrist. Now, as I show you the watch today, the band is not the original band. I replaced the original band, which is kind of a silicone, rubberized type band you see on a lot of watches, with a canvas band. I kind of like that. You can switch bands. You can buy bands off Amazon. They're very easy to change. They have a quick release feature, which makes them very easy to change. It's about 2 inches in diameter. The screen, the display, is about 1.2 inches. Now, this is not a touch screen, but it has Corning glass on the front, so it's very easy to see in sunlight. And again, as we'll see later, there is a backlight button to help improve that should you need it, but it's not a touch screen, which is why it has 5 buttons around here, and we'll go through those 5 buttons here in a moment. Now, this has a water rating of 5 atmospheres, which is about 50 meters in depth, so you can swim with this, you can shower, you can run in the rain, wherever you want to do. It's pretty robust. It's a great little watch as far as weight, size, and toughness. So what is battery life back? Well, Garmin says in smartwatch mode, which means you're not using GPS, it can last about 7 days. With GPS on, it says it'll go up to 24 hours. And I don't know what up to means, whether that's a max or a min or an average, but you should be able to get GPS mode constantly for probably any run you're going to do, unless you're maybe running a 100-mile ultra marathon. It should last in GPS mode for as long as you want to run. Now, this watch pairs with the Garmin Connect app on your phone, and you can actually sync it. A lot of changes you want to make on your watch. For example, if you want to put a different watch face on, it's much easier doing it on the Garmin Connect app. You can look at data, the results of your run. You can look at the graphs and get all that information from the Garmin Connect app. So if you get the watch, you want to download that app and put it on your phone. So as I said earlier, this watch worked on satellite. Now, you have a couple of options in satellite. You can just use normal GPS, and when you see normal GPS, they're talking about the satellite that U.S. government's put up, that the government uses and a lot of phones and systems uses. But you can also add on a second satellite network. And you have two options. One is GLONASS, which is a Russian satellite network, and the other is Galileo, which is a European satellite network. So why might you want to add a second network? Well, you might get better reception if you have poor sky conditions like clouds or something like that, Or if you run with tall things around you, like tall buildings, you're in a valley with a bunch of hills around you or some cliffs, you may get a little better tracking coverage and get a little better accuracy in your miles and where you're going. The other feature of the satellite tracking, which is nice, which is kind of a safety feature, is you can do live tracking. When you start a run, you can actually have a link sent to your emergency contact that they can actually click and see where you are during your run. Similarly, it has instant detection where if you fall, it can send a text to your emergency contact with a live tracking link and your GPS coordinates, so they'll know if you fall. You have about 30 seconds before that triggers, so if you fall and stumble but you're fine, you can shut that off and not send that when you don't need it. Now, I kind of leave mine set to default when I got the watch, which is GPS plus GLONASS. I figured if Garmin sets that as default, perhaps the watch is optimized to work with the US GPS satellite network and the Russian GLONASS network. So I just leave it on that. But you have the option of not using a second satellite network or using the European Galileo network. So I said earlier, if you're used to a smartwatch, like I have a Galaxy watch which has a touchscreen, you can do a lot of things by touching the screen. You cannot do that on the Garmin Forerunner 245. It is not a touchscreen, which is why it has 5 buttons around it. So let's go through and let me give you a little demo of what those 5 buttons are and what they do. The Forerunner has 5 buttons. We're going to start at the top left. This is the backlight button. We'll turn the backlight on if it's a little dim and you can't read it. If you hold that button, it brings on a controls menu where you have different options such as powering off. You can request assistance. It tells you if you're connected to your phone. You can actually sync it, and there are several options you can do from the controls menu. From the top right is the start button. This would actually start an activity. For example, I want to run. Now, if I'm outside, I would wait for the GPS to connect. Once the GPS connects, I would press the start button again to start my run. You can also select other activities. We could go down to the back button. For example, I could pick a trail run. I could pick an elliptical or a treadmill. Whatever activities I have loaded on here, which I've gotten from the Garmin Connect app. This button is also used to select something. For example, if you're in the settings menu and you want to change a setting and select something, you would press that button. The bottom right button is actually the back button. So if you want to go back a screen, for example, if I hit run, I said, oh, I don't want to run. I want to go do something first. I can hit the back button and go back to the previous screen. Going on around the watch, the bottom left button is actually a down button. That is a down button if you're scrolling through items and you want to move up and down. The button right above it, of course, is the up button. This button also has another feature in that if you press and hold it, you get a menu. For example, you want to change your watch face, you want to set an alarm, you want to look at history. You can also go into settings for activities. For example, if I want to look at an activity, I can select that again with the top right button and I can run. I go in and change my run settings. I go in and remove it from my favorites. So the ones that showed up on my watch when I was scrolling down through there were my favorites, and I could actually change and add those. And there are other options in the menu you can do. And actually take it off the list. If, for example, if you don't trail run, you don't want trail run in there, you can actually move it from your list. You can always add it back in later. And again, that back button takes you back to the main watch face. Now, being a running watch, it also has some fitness things in it. So it has some things about your health. For example, heart rate. You can get your heart rate. It has an oxygen sensor, so it can measure your oxygen level. It also can measure your sleep. If you wear it at night while you sleep, it'll give you some outputs on your sleep. I've not done that. I wear my Galaxy smartwatch when I sleep. I've not used this watch for that purpose, but it will do some sleep tracking for you. The other thing Garmin has is something called body battery, which is, like it says, a battery. When you rest, you charge up your body battery. When you exercise or you're active, you deplete your body battery. So it's kind of a measure of how rested you are. Can you go out and do a run? Maybe your body battery is low and you should wait another day or rest longer before you do that. So that's one health monitoring thing they have with this watch. The watch also has some training features. You can actually get some training and coaching through the watch. It actually has something called Garmin Coach, which is 3 different coaches will help train you to do a 5K, a 10K, or a half marathon. One of those coaches is Jeff Galloway. If you're a Run Walk Run fan, you can actually get some training through the watch using Jeff Galloway to train, say, for example, for a half marathon. So as I said earlier, one reason for using a running watch is to get data, get metrics about your run and your activity. So let me show you a few screens from those. I have to apologize a little bit. The words on the left are kind of hard to see. I have the brightness turned all the way up on my phone, but it's just not very bright, and that's just in the Garmin Connect app. But you can see you can get things like running cadence, how much you climb, elevation, total ascent and descent, calories burned. Of course, you can get pace, average pace, how fast you're going, total time you're out, moving time, and elapsed time. You can get heart rate information. One thing I like that you can get in the through the Garmin Connect app is actually graphs, and you can look at those graphs and see how, for example, your pace changed over time. One feature I like is heart rate zones. You can actually input your own max heart rate. You can determine your max heart rate for your age and physical conditioning. You can input that, and it'll give you how much time you're spending in each heart rate zone. I'm showing you an example here. How much time are you in an aerobic state? How much time you're in an anaerobic state. So if you're trying to train by heart rate zones, this is a real good feature to have. And you actually see that on the watch. You can look at your watch, and my watch in the data field that I'm using will show me my heart rate as I'm running, and I can look to see which zone I'm in while I'm running. So I use a data field that gives me information on heart rate at the moment, average pace, current pace, elapsed time, elapsed distance. That makes it real handy to see while you're running. Now, one thing I noticed, I did a run at night about a week ago. My daughter wanted to run around the neighborhood, look at Christmas lights at night, so we did that. I noticed when I brought my arm up to look at my watch, the backlight came on automatically. I thought that was a pretty nice feature. So you can get all kinds of information at a glance, and you can vary those data fields. You can download data fields off from Garmin. You can install those. You can create your own. What information would you like to see when you're running or doing an activity? You can modify that for your preference. Now, one thing the Garmin watch will tell you your recovery time. So if you finish a run, it'll give you an idea of your training load, your training effort, and how much recovery time you should take before you do another run. So that's kind of a nice handy feature. Obviously you don't have to do what the watch tells you. You can do your own. You know your body better, but it does give you kind of an indication. So I said earlier, you can download different watch faces, different data fields, different apps, and that's through the Garmin IQ app. It's kind of like their Play Store or their Apple Store on those systems. So I said download the Garmin IQ app, install that. You can browse through there, look at watch faces, data fields, apps, and install those on your watches as you would like. Now, I don't wear my Garmin watch 24/7. I don't wear it all the time. I kind of wear my Galaxy smartwatch. But the watch does have some smartwatch features. For example, you can get notifications from your phone to your watch. If you get a text, you can get that text on your watch, you can read through it, and you can reply with some standard responses that you've pre-selected through the Garmin Connect apps. In other words, if you get a text, you want to reply, I'll call you later, you can select that one, it'll send that. Now it does that through your phone, so you need to have your phone with you if you want to do that. Likewise, you can get emails. You can read part of the email on your watch. You can't read the whole email. Now you can't reply to an email, but you can see what you got and maybe you need to stop and answer or what you might need to do. You can also see if you get a phone call. Now you can't answer the phone on your watch, but you can dismiss it and you can send a text reply such as, I'll call you later. You can do that through the watch. And you can get notification on watch on really just about any app you have on your phone. For example, I have a garage door app that when the garage door opens, I get a notification. I can get that on my phone. And you can select which apps you want to get notifications from and ones you don't. So it's not like every notification you get on your phone you would get through your watch unless you decide you want to do that. And of course, as I mentioned, some of the other smart watch features like sleep, tracking, and some of those things are available on the Garmin watch. I will say, if you're more interested in a smartwatch and less interested in a running watch, you may not want the Forerunner 245. You may want to look at something different, whether you just get like an Apple iWatch or a Galaxy watch, or Garmin has some higher end watches like the Venue, which have much more smartwatch features. I'm not expert on them, but the Venue, for example, you can actually answer the phone on your watch and talk to people on your watch. But that's like a $500 watch. You got to decide if that's what you want. So what are some of the, just kind of summarize this, what are some of the pros and cons? So the pros, of course, is a very durable watch. It's lightweight, it's robust, gives you a lot of great data, is very accurate in tracking your distance and how far you run. So from a running standpoint, it does a great job. I'm very happy with it. I have no complaints about the running aspect. The smartwatch features are not as robust as a true smartwatch. So as I said, if you really want more smartwatch features, you may not want the Forerunner 245, maybe you want something a little more smartwatch features. But if you don't, it's a good watch. Now the con is it is a little pricey. It's about $300. However, they go on sale. I bought mine, it was $100 off. As I record this, it's January 4th, 2022. It's actually on sale at Garmin right now for $75 off. So you can get them on sale if you just watch for it and get it maybe when it goes on sale. The other con, I'll put, or a negative, is it's not as intuitive to use as, say, for example, a smartwatch or a smartphone like my Galaxy Watch. It just takes a little more learning curve to do it. It's not real hard. You just need to spend some time with the watch, use it, figure out how to do things. For example, it took me quite a while to figure out how to change my max heart rate in the watch. It's a little not intuitive. It's a little odd to get down in there, but you can find it. And there is a user manual you can get online, which will tell you how to do different things. And of course, there's lots of other videos and helpful articles out there on the internet to help you dial down those certain features you want. So overall, I would definitely recommend the Garmin Forerunner 245 as a running watch, a basic running watch with a few smartwatch features. Hey, I hope you liked this video. If you did, scroll down a little bit and hit that like icon while you're at it. If you're not a subscriber, I'd love to have you tag along with me as we talk about running and explore different things about running. So hit that subscribe icon and stay with me. Thanks again for watching. Happy running.